So when I was a kid, I lived in my parents' house, obviously, for I don't know, like 6 or 7 years, when they bought this house. And when they went to remodel, we found out there was like really intense black mold.
Mm,
And I think that maybe it's like flowed into some of the issues that I'm having now as an adult.
no
And
question.
so I'm curious if the mold might have, I guess, binded really well to my cells and my molecules, to cause seizures and anxiety possibly.
Anxiety,
Because
absolutely. Yes.
okay.
Mold
uh
toxicity is highly, highly linked to anxiety, especially adult onset anxiety. So,
okay.
first of all, remember I talk about anxiety a lot. Anxiety is a rise in a category of neurotransmitters called catecholamines. They are fight
Hmm.
or flight neurotransmitters. When your body is trapped in fight or flight, what we call a sympathetic state, you are in a state of always being anxious, which gives way very easily to anxiety. You will have a tendency
Right.
to have ruminating thoughts at night. You'll have a tendency to, when you consider scenarios, to take it to a worst case scenario. There are three
Mhm.
big components that go along with this. Number one is significant water retention because it also throws off your estrogen. So if you have mold mycotoxin poisoning, it will throw off the elimination of estrogen, what we call phytoestrogens. The primary role of estrogen in men and women is to bind water. It has a lot of other roles, but in pregnancy, for example, estrogen goes from in the 400s to in the 4000s. Why does a female's estrogen go to 10 times higher during pregnancy? To bind water, pad the uterus, and protect the fetus. Post-pregnancy, we don't want excess estrogen because it just binds water and we get very bloated. So, or
Right.
puffy. We think that we're fat. We're not. We're actually water retentive. So estrogen dominance is a key sign. Frequent colds and flus is a key sign. So, being very susceptible to seasonal flus or seasonal allergies. But there is no question that it could do that. I would really recommend, if you can, if it's in the budget, to get the Vibrant Wellness Test. I would bet my entire career you are going to see an entire family of aflatoxins. And those are the ones that have the specific outcomes you're referring to.
Okay. And then my other question is, Dr. Axe talked about how milk thistle is good for people who have PCOS.
Yes, it
And
is.
by what you just said, I'm assuming that the mycotoxin poisoning from the mold could also be causing those issues.
No
Um,
question. So polycystic ovarian syndrome is a syndrome where you actually have cystic formation through the uterine wall, right? And sometimes you get things called fibroids. Um,
right.
they can do fibroidectomies. A lot of time they actually recommend a full hysterectomy, which my opinion is not a great idea. Again, I'm not an OBGYN, but I don't like just throwing organs out because we can't figure out what's wrong with them. So let's just clean them out and
Right.
toss them. It's like thyroidectomies are very common in people that have thyroid issues before we actually even try to get to toxicity. So
Mhm.
taking organs and throwing them in the trash is sort of a last resort. So I have seen polycystic ovarian syndrome. In fact, I did a podcast with a client of mine who had polycystic ovarian syndrome at 24. At 25 and a half,
Mhm.
she had no more cysts in her ovaries. So
Wow.
mold, mycotoxins, and parasitic infections, which will be tested on that on that full detox panel, and then getting rid of those things. Remember, if you're still menstruating, every month the uterine wall will slide off, right, and you'll
Right.
excrete it. So think of it like a meat slicer, right, and having a cyst in the wall of the uterus, but slowly slicing this thing like a meat cleaver through this cyst until you actually get the fresh tissue, which has pushed that those cysts or those fibroids out. So we have to
Mhm.
stop them from forming, and then as they move towards the interior wall, then the wall sloughs off, kind of like slicing deli meats. You can eventually slice through, for lack of better words, those fibroids and actually no longer have the fibroids or the cyst. I would absolutely be starting with mycotoxin testing.
Okay.
Okay.